friends. How are you today? Sorry, I'm kind of still adjusting my camera from the other day. That's going to have to be good for now, but hope you are doing well. Happy August. And we will begin just momentarily. As you come in, say hello, and we will get started in just a minute. I just want to make sure that my screen does pop up on the other side of things, and I do see that we are good, and I see chat. So hello, my friends. Happy Thursday and happy August. I hope that you are doing well, whether you are here or new here or returning. If you are new here, my name is Tammy Savello, and welcome to Cards by TLC, where every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I go live right here on YouTube to show you some fun projects. I want to thank you all for being patient with me last week as I was preparing for the first craft fair of the season. I have lots of fun doing craft fairs, seeing amazing, talented crafters and making new friends. Hello, Patty. Somehow I was not remembering if it was today. Oh, no problem. Welcome in, and welcome in, Sue. And again, if you are new here and tuning in, I would love to know where you're tuning in from. Well, my friends, today we are playing with the One Sheet Wonder. It's all about One Sheet Wonders. If you're not familiar about One Sheet Wonders, they're a great way to explore just using your designer series paper and cutting it up into multiple pieces, whether it's a 12 by 12 or a 6 by 6. If you go to Pinterest, there's so many versions of the One Sheet Wonders. It is a fantastic way that you could make multiple cards in one setting using your favorite sentiment and favorite designer paper. Today we're creating 3 cards using the Mediterranean Blooms designer paper. Now, fair warning, this paper is not 6 by 6, it is actually 12 by 12, but I wanted to create something simple for you today, so I cut it down to 6 by 6. There's, like I said, there's many 12 by 12 templates, but not a ton of 6 by 6. So I thought it would be fun to show you the simplicity of that. The pattern is lemons on one side and these blue and white little flowers on the other side. But I absolutely love this paper. I am a lemon girly. I am a blue girl, so it's all about that. But let's take a look at today's projects. Like I said, we're using 6 by 6 designer paper, and I created these 3 cards. Now we are using just the one sheet for the projects. However, I did go ahead, and of course with the magic of TV, we have a 12 by 12 sheet of these lemons. And so I did fussy cut that out for our second project today. Let's see here. You're located in Shingle Springs. Okay, so a little bit further north of us, kind of up in the mountain areas. I love it up there. So beautiful. So, like I said, we are using the 6 by 6 Mediterranean Blooms that we originally cut that down. But I would also love to know in the chat, and or if you're watching the replay, if you've done One Sheet Wonders before. Like I said, there's so many different versions of it. Speaking of which, starting August 6th through the 31st, there will be 14 designer series papers, including this one that will be up to 15% off of them. So that is the perfect time to grab those. I'll include which designer paper in my blog tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do something typically different this time. Typically, I do project by project and the measurements. So today we're going to go through all of the measurements of our cardstock and then all of our measurements of our designer paper, just to kind of make things flow more easily, and we go over that. But don't worry, all of the sizes and dimensions will be on my blog post tomorrow in case you missed something. Good morning, Jenny. Glad you ladies are here today. So like I said, we're going to start off with a piece of Night of Navy 11.5 or 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and then a half of a sheet of thick basic white. So let's go ahead and do our cutting and get that done and over with. And then we'll go over all of the cutting that we will need to do first and foremost, and then we will put together. I need to grab 2 more sheets of paper that I missed, so don't want to miss that. Okay, so since we are doing 2 standard card bases, I'm going to go ahead and score at 4 1/4 at first and foremost. That way they're both scored at the same time and when we cut. So you're kind of missing a step there. You're saving yourself a step. So we're going to go to 4 1/4 and score, and I'm so excited. I put in a new scoring blade. I think I had my original scoring blade on there. Ooh, I noticed a difference right away. Kind of a long time to have a scoring blade, but in all fairness, that makes it show that our scoring blade works really, really well. And then I'm going to line that up at 5 1/2 and cut that literally right in half. And so we're going to keep one of the card bases standard, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. So we're going to put that one off to the side. We're going to take this one that's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, but we're going to take this part and cut off a 1-inch strip, leaving that to be 4 1/2 by 8 1/2. Or sorry, 4 1/2 by 5 1/2 or something like that. So we're just cutting off a 1 inch of that. Okay, so that 1-inch strip we're going to save for later on. We're going to put that off to the side just right here so it's out of the way. So that is our second card base. And our third card base, I'm going to do, it's a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And we're actually going to score this at, where am I scoring? Hold on, just 1 1/4 and 4 1/4. So 1 1/4 and 4 1/4. I'm telling you, Jenny, that I changed mine and it was a game changer. It had been a hot minute. Look how nice and deep those score lines are. So I was really fighting the score lines on that. Okay, so that is done. Let's go ahead and cut up our basic white insert pieces. So we are actually going to need 2 bases or 2 panels at 4 by 5 1/4 for our first card. Our second card, we're going to need a 3-inch by 5 1/4. And these are already pre-cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to cut this one at 3 inches. I'll put that in my little scrap bin for my white pieces. So this is 3 by 5 1/4. Let's just double check that. Yes. So we have a 3 by 5 1/4. And then our second one is 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. So 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw that one piece away. I don't really need that piece. So that is it for our insert pieces. And we are actually going to be saving this piece. And we're actually going to be doing some heat embossing with our white embossing powder on that one today for our project. So that is that. And then let's go ahead and move on to cutting our 6x6 designer paper. This is what it's all about. We're going to cut our one sheet wonder. So keep in mind, if your paper is directional, which mine is not, if it is directional, you're going to want to cut a 1/2 inch off of the top or the bottom. Either way. So mine's not really directional. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up at the 1/2 inch mark. And we're going to trim that off. I'm actually going to save this piece for one of the projects. Now we're going to rotate this and go along the 6-inch side. And we are going to be cutting 3 strips of 2-inch strips. So we are just going to be cutting 3 strips, 3 2-inch strips. Okay, so there is that. We're going to keep one of these as is. I'm going to put these kind of off to the side. We're going to keep one as is, a 2x6. And then we're going to take the other 2 and we're going to actually cut that down to 5 1/4. So I'm just going to do that together because the designer paper is thin enough. So we're just going to leave those, cut that down to 5 1/4. And this is going to be our only waste. This little piece, these pieces right here. That's what the One Sheet Wonders are all about. You can use up that designer paper and get it done and make multiple cards. That is the goal here. So let's go ahead, and since all of our cutting is done, we are going to, let's talk about the sentiments that I chose. I actually chose Simply Said and Sweetly Scripted. Now, Sweetly Scripted is an online exclusive, so it's not in a printed document, so don't look for it in a catalog, but Simply Said is, but Sweetly Scripted is in our online exclusives. These are great, like, generalization sentiments. Let's make sure I'm not missing any comments really quick. Looks like everybody needed that reminder of changing their scoring blade. Unfortunately, they are not in stock right now, but so you will have to do that. But Patty, I do have an extra one. I just got my scoring blade. So if you need to change your scoring blade, I do have an extra one for you if you need that. Okay, let's go ahead, and now that all of our cutting is done, let's bring in our first card. It's going to be pretty simple. A nice birthday wishes card. And remember how I said that little strip? I went ahead and we're going to use it on that. And I think I need to trim that one down actually to 5 1/4. So let's go ahead, and before we get started, I will trim that down to 5 1/4 to line up really nicely. Okay, so that is the other piece that gets discarded. So not a lot of stuff used up and wasted. Okay, let's bring in our standard card base. Again, it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. And then we are going to bring in 2 of our 4 by 5 1/4 pieces. And let's go ahead and bring in that thin strip, that 1/2 inch strip. And then we're going to use the 2 by 6 designer paper, and we're going to just kind of come in at an angle just like so, and then we're just going to trim off that excess. So I'm going to just bring in Mr. Tom, and just add some glue almost to the end, but not quite. I'm going to leave that off and that off, maybe a little bit more. That should be good. And then I'm going to lay that down like so at an angle. And then I'm going to bring in my gunky scissors. And I did get a little bit of glue on my surface. I want to leave that on. You might want to lay down your silicone mats if you're going to be doing any gluing. That'll protect your work surface. Or if you're using your glass mat, that works too. So I'm just going to come in at an angle and cut that off. Trim those off, and there we have that. And then I'm going to bring in my silicone mats and our other 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel. And let's bring this up here so I'm kind of in frame. I have to reposition my Archon stand because I used it the other day to do a face-to-face live on my Facebook, and sometimes positioning that back into place just is a pain in the booty. Okay, then we're gonna just add that to add some dimension to your project. And then we're gonna come in here. I'm gonna leave my silicone mat here just for some extra protection. And then I'm gonna come in with Night of Navy. That's our ink choice today, and birthday wishes from the Simply Said. And that is a photopolymer stamp set. So we're going to come in with birthday wishes and stamp that right there. And then I'm going to add some of the silver and white sheer ribbon. This is my favorite ribbon. It's so versatile. And I'm going to kind of do kind of like a faux bow, where I'm going to come in at an angle like so. Let's see, I think I'm going to need like that, just enough to wrap around the edge. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to bring in my handy dandy tape, just regular tape. Now I have to flip this back over and see where I line that back up here. Flip that over, just tape that down. Real sophisticated crafting here. And then flip this around like so. Sometimes I get this all fumbled here. And then we're just going to come in here with just some extra tape like that. And let's kind of get that lined up again. You too can be a crafter. Come in here like so. And I believe that's good. Yep. Just kind of adjust that like so. And then I'm going to come in here. Let's go ahead and adhere this to the front panel while we can. Because that'll be easier before we do the other half of our bow. So let's go ahead and insert our panel pieces. Like that. And then I'm going to come in here with my inside piece. I know, it's sometimes the simplicity of adding tape to the back and cheating. Actually, I don't even think that's cheating. I think that's more creative. You got to do what you got to do to make it work, right? Nobody sees behind the scenes, kind of like our craft room. Nobody really sees behind the scenes on that, but they come in. Now here's the fun part. You know me with my bows. Now we come in and tie our bow. Just because it's kind of like a weird angle, and I'm not that type of person that does bows really well to begin with. So, and then I'm going to do kind of like a sneak attack glue dot underneath that knot. Okay, come on. This would work a lot better if the glue dots were on the reverse side. Bring them back the old way, Stampin' Up. There we go. And then that would even be pretty, just like so. But I am going to go ahead and attempt to do a bow. I made it shorter on one end. I made it difficult for myself. Oh, come on. Let's see. This is what Tammy does. I should have given myself a little bit more room. I know. Make the first loop shorter. I'm all thumbs when it comes to bow tying, and then tying it all on camera like so. Okay. I got it. I do so much more better off camera. That's not as big as the first one, but that one does work. That to me, it does work. It's not as big as the first one, but I might even redo this part off camera. I don't do well with bows on camera, but that's okay. We make it work. And I'm seeing no, make the first loop with the shorter end. I know. I goofed that up, Patty. I wasn't it wasn't computing what you were saying, but I am all thumbs when it comes to that. But here is our first one. Not as big, but it's kind of dainty and cute. So there is project number 1. And let's go ahead and bring in project number 2 with that is, see where we cut off that 1-inch strip there. Here is project number 2. So let's go ahead and bring in our card base. There we go. And then this is where we have our 3-inch piece and our 3.5-inch piece. And then our oh, you know what? I missed a cut here. I was wondering where the second piece is. So see how this is 2 pieces? We've got to take one of our 2-inch strips and cut that in half. Again, it's so this will be 1 inch by 5 1/4. I was like, what is going on here, folks? And then it is the opposite side of our designer paper. So we had missed that cut. So take that one of the 2-inch strips and cut that in half. And then we are going to do, let's go ahead and do our inside piece right here. And I'm going to line that up like so. That is our 3.5-inch piece. And then we are going to line that up like so, leaving just a nice little border along the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our 3-inch piece. You don't necessarily have to cut this 3.5-inch piece down. It's just something a little different. But you could leave a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece in. And then we are just going to lay that right on top of each other like so. And then I'm going to come in with some liquid glue. You are perfectly fine, Christine. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. And then line that up, edge to edge, and then leaving a nice little border on the inside piece. Now we're going to go ahead and bring in our 3-inch piece, and I'm going to stamp our little sentiment. Just a note, that is from the Simply set as well, in Night of Navy. Right there, like so. And then I am going to glue down this strip right here on the edge like so. So that's, again, 1 inch by 5 1/4. Thank you very much, Kathy. I appreciate that. I love this designer paper. It's absolutely one of my favorites. Being part Italian and Spanish, you wouldn't think by looking at me, my Norwegian blood shows up more than that, but I'm Italian and Spanish, so my Mediterranean roots are strong behind the scenes. And then we are just going to line this up. I'm kind of a mutt. I'm French, Italian, Irish, and Norwegian, and Spanish. So I'm kind of a little mutt. Okay, now we're going to come in with our handy dandy pre-cut, fussy cut lemons. Hello, Gian. Welcome in. And I think in a couple of weeks, when maybe September, when we have the Christmas paper available after pre-order, I might do a 12 by 12 one sheet wonder. I do love doing them. And like I said, there's so many different versions on Pinterest that you can come up with. And when I was doing my research, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of 6 by 6. There were some, but not a whole lot. Now I'm just going to come in and just do a just little slip knot. And then, me too, Christine. And like I said, there's different versions of one sheet wonders. You have your, to me, one sheet wonders are designer paper, but people can kind of make, like my friend Patty and my friend Jenny here in the chat, they can make your own background and kind of like make a little quarter panel one sheet wonder. And then that's just going to go on like that. And there is another clean front. I am all about the clean simplicity of cards. And I'm not even adding, because of the ribbon, I'm not even adding embellishments to this one. Okay, our last and final card is kind of like our fun fold card. Let me bring that in here. And you'll notice it doesn't like come open like a Z fold because I have glued this panel down and we have done some heat embossing. So I think that's what we're gonna do first and foremost. Thank you, Sue, I appreciate that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do some heat embossing. Now, unfortunately, the heat embossing Versamark and the Versamark is on back order until I think the middle of the month. So if you need it, please come back to my online store in the middle of the month. And I want to bring in, let's go ahead and just bring in my silicone mat again. And then I have my Versamark. And then this time we are going to the Sweetly Said, I think it's Sweetly Scripted, the Happy Birthday Sweetly Scripted. And we are going to stamp that. And I believe I have my white embossing powder here, and then my heat tools right over there. So let's go ahead. Because this is a larger stamp, I just kind of add the Versamark like so. And then with it being a dark cardstock, I almost did that upside down. With it being a dark cardstock, you can see the Versamark. Make sure we got a good, looks like we got a good impression there. Now I'm going to come in with my white embossing powder. Oh, I forgot to put the embossing buddy on. Ooh. You know what? I'm going to flip this over, do the embossing buddy, because I don't want any of that powder sticking. So I'm going to flip that over, do the embossing buddy, because it's just a powdered packet. If you don't have an embossing buddy, dryer sheets work just fine. Let's do that step all over again. Line that up. And then come in with my fancy Dollar Tree container. Let me bring in my little brush. The kit comes with a little brush here. You can use just a little paintbrush just to get that excess powder off. And then hopefully this won't be too loud with my heat tool. And we will see the magic happen before our eyes as soon as this heats up. There we go. This was one of my favorite things that I did when I first started making cards. And you can literally see the magic happen before your very eyes. And let me grab that and see how nice and shiny that is. And perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and come in with our card. Get this off to the side, this stuff off to the side. We're gonna fold that over and crease our edge. And then I'm gonna take this part and we are gonna fold back that piece right there. And this piece is actually gonna get attached to that, like so. You could keep it like this if you would like to. You can do whichever orientation you would like, but I really liked how it just made it simple by folding that panel back. And I asked this at the beginning of the live, but a few people have joined us. Have you guys tried One Sheet Wonders? And if so, which one do you like? Oops. We need to lay this down first and foremost, and I think I can lift you up. You do want to lay that down. If for whatever reason you do miss this step and you're watching me craft live, you can trim this piece down just a little bit, but you do want to lay this piece down first. So you do want to lay that down first and then fold that flap in. So we're going to lay that down. Go. And if you are watching the replay, I would love to know in the comment section if you've done One Sheet Wonders. Don't worry about that kind of like messed up. See how it's kind of messed up like that? This is where this fancy dandy guy is going to cover it up. But we're going to put it right side up. And you could pop this one up if you wanted to, but I'm just going to lay it flat. And it leaves a nice little border on the top and the bottom. And then we're going to come in here with our ribbon yet once again. And we're going to go just like so, but we are just going to do a knot this go around. I wish I was one of those crafters that can just whip out a nice little pretty bow, quick and easy and simple, but my fingers and thumbs and all of that like to get in the way. My chubby little fingers. Okay, we're just gonna give it a little bit of a haircut here. And there is our third and final project. Okay, let's bring in all three projects again. We'll bring in the prettier bow. So I would love to know in the chat and in the comment section, if you're watching the replay, which project do you like, whether you like project 1, 2, or 3. Again, this started with a 6x6 piece of designer paper for our One Sheet Wonder. Let's see here. Kathy said, I like doing One Sheet Wonder, especially it has a different layout. That's what I love about it. It gives you multiple different card options, and all you need is a piece of designer paper and a couple of sentiments, or one really good full sentiment. But again, if you like 1, 2, or 3, I'd love to know in the comment section below. And if like I said, and if you are watching the replay, let me know in the comments. You can't choose. They're all beautiful. Oh, I'm inspiring you to get your household chores. I know that's what I'm actually doing next. So household chores are next for me. But these are our 3 projects today with our 6x6 One Sheet Wonder. And again, if you missed any of the sizes and dimensions, it'll be on my blog post tomorrow at cardsbytlc.com. And if you're not, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel or my blog, head on over to my blog that has my weekly newsletters. as well that are starting to go out weekly. But that is it, my friends. Thank you again for joining me today. It looks like everybody is liking them all. I know I actually couldn't choose again this week. But if you'd like to join me live on Tuesdays, you can join me over at Cards by TLC on my Facebook business page, along with my friend here, Jenny, who's in the chat, Stampin' with Jen. We do our Teach It Tuesdays with Tammy and Jenny. So we would love for you to come by and show us the love on that day. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and I hope it's cooling off for you throughout the United States. It's still a little pretty warm here in Northern California, but I hope you all stay safe, have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next week for some more creative fun.